Hello and welcome to Froch on Fighting. My name is Carl Froch, former unified super middleweight world boxing champion and International Boxing Hall of Famer. This episode is brought to you by Cobra Casino. So Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn have been on Piers Morgan, uncensored, and it's a very, very interesting video. It's gone viral. Everybody's been watching it. Everybody's talking about it. It's all part of the pre-fight build-up. It's all good stuff. It's good for boxing, brings eyes on the prize, and it's giving lots and lots of attention to my favourite beloved sport of boxing. But I'm going to get into that interview right now and tell you exactly what I thought of it.
He went out of boxing for a little bit, spent $1 million trying to clear his name.
You know what, that's why you're an idiot.
No.
Because I've been cleared by 3 organisations, by people who are a lot smarter than you.
Was there drugs in your system?
This is you talking personal.
Was there drugs in your system?
Maybe not, none of your business. I've been cleared 3 times.
See there, where he says maybe, maybe not, then, I don't know, I'm not saying that's an admission of guilt, but that's kind of acknowledging that maybe there was something there, maybe there wasn't. But he's not winning anybody over, is he, by saying this, maybe, maybe not. You can't be flippant and nonchalant about failing 2 drugs tests. So I kind of don't like that bit there. That's a mistake there from Conor Benn. Chris Eubank Jr. putting it on him. The main focus is the drugs cheat. He knows he's winning the fans over doing this, and he's trying to hold Conor Benn liable. And Conor Benn not really doing a very good job by saying maybe, maybe not. I've been cleared. This is the problem with boxing. Yeah, let's watch the rest of the clip before I go on a rant.
It is my business when you were preparing to fight me.
Yeah, but you don't know the ins. You think you know.
Well,
me trying to explain it to you.
Hang on, let me ask you, Conor, on that point, because you raised it at one of the press conferences, and it's a valid point. Do you accept that these substances were found in your body?
There's nothing to accept.
No.
It's the facts.
No?
No.
It's the facts.
Because
I never took anything knowingly. I never took.
But that's a different question.
Yeah.
Whether you took it knowingly or not, do you accept that they were
I struggle
found?
to accept it still.
See, I get that from Conor Benn, and looking at him there, with the way he paused for such a long time before he said, no, I don't accept it, it kind of makes me believe him that he doesn't know how it got there. And I feel sorry for him in the fact that if he has failed this drugs test without actually knowingly taking the clomiphene, he's failed 2 drug tests for clomiphene. It's a masking agent for potentially taking other drugs. But let's not go into the substance. Let's not be too scientific. The facts are he's failed drugs test for clomiphene, which is a banned substance in boxing. Now, whether or not he knows how it got there, there's a thing called strict liability. Now, if you get pulled up by a police officer and you've been drink driving, and the police officer suspects you of being drink driving because you're all over the road, and you blow down a breathalyzer, and you fail a drinks driving test, you'll be arrested and you will get a ban for a very long time if you're drink driving. You shouldn't drink and drive. So if you can't then say to the judge or to the police officer, we can say what you want, but it won't work. You can say, I don't know how it got there. I've not had anything to drink. It doesn't matter how many times you say I've had no alcohol. If you failed an alcohol test or blood test or blowing down the bag, then unfortunately, you've been drink driving. Because there's a thing called strict liability. You're responsible for what's inside your body. Whether or not you can convince anybody or you can convince yourself that you've not taken it, you are guilty by the fact that it's in your system. And I think that's what Conor Benn's struggling to deal with here. And I think that's why he's turning a lot of the fans, he's turned so many fans against him because of his attitude towards it. He's just profoundly claiming his innocence. I get that. But there comes a point where you've got to say, listen, I failed 2 drugs tests. I don't know what happened. I'm sorry. Them 2 words, I'm sorry, would go a long way in this, not in this argument, this conversation, but just in general for what's gone off of him with this drug test. If you heard him say, I'm sorry, and say, listen, I just want to get on with my career, people would probably still dislike him, but there'd be a lot of people saying, you know what, fair play to him, he's admitted it, he's not the first, he won't be the last boxer to fail a drugs test, now let's get on with his career. That's what I'd like to see him do.
I don't hate this man. I would never give him that type of power over me. I hate what he stands for. I hate what he did. I hate what he represents. But as him as a person, I'm not gonna say I hate him. I'm not giving him that power over me. I don't hate anybody. I've just got to make sure that we set an example here. You know, what he did in failing these 2 drugs tests in my opinion, is unacceptable. As you said, people have been paralyzed, people have died. So for anybody who is out there thinking to cheat, they have to be made an example of. They have to be punished, they have to be embarrassed. And that's what I've been doing.
Again, just drilling home the fact that Conor Benn's failed these drug tests and just making him look bad and making the fans realise the potential implications of failing drug tests. Talking about paralysis and death and what's happened to people previously. I mean, it's all very hard and hard to disagree with as well. You kind of have to be on the same side of Chris Eubank Jr. here, and it's bad for Conor. I mean, Conor Benn didn't say a word there because there's not much he can say in that. So it's just, again, Eubank being very smart of his words, very articulate in the way he delivers it, and quite impressive, really, in terms of getting his point across and getting the fans on his side. So well played there to Chris Eubank Jr.
You have a very good relationship with your father.
Unbelievable relationship.
Has it always been good?
He's my hero.
He's your hero?
He's my hero.
And he's been there throughout this process at your side?
He's probably struggled with it more than myself.
Why?
I'm his son.
His father's upset more than him because he's destroyed his father's legacy.
I've not... Mate, you
He's
don't even
put
get
a
on with your
black
dad.
mark-
Talk
he's
about
put a
destroy
black
your father's
mark
legacy.
Against the Ben's
Talk
name.
about destroy your father's legacy.
I kind of get what Chris Eubank Jr. is saying there about destroying the legacy with the drugs cheat, because it's a big stain on the name, isn't it, failing drugs test. But where Conor Benn comes back there and says, talk about destroy your father's legacy, talk about destroy your father's legacy, I don't know what he's talking about. He didn't back it up with anything. How's Chris Eubank Jr. destroyed his father's? Unless you're talking about Eubank Jr.'s fought at world level twice and got beat on both times. I think Billy Joe Saunders, George Groves, Liam Smith battered him, El Sparko'd him. Well, he stopped on his feet, wasn't he? But he's been beat up 3 times at kind of world level. So maybe that's what Ben's on about. But Eubank Jr. here is trying to just drill home the drugs again, and you destroyed the legacy by failing these drugs tests. He can't get away from it at the minute, can he? This is obviously Chris Eubank Jr.'s main agenda going into this Piers Morgan interview. Let's destroy him on the drugs cheat because nobody likes it and it's difficult for him to defend himself.
You know, the worst thing Conor's done is put question marks.
Well, let's come to that.
On
I'm going to
Ben's
come to.
name. Let me talk.
Let me talk. Not many people tell Piers Morgan to shut up and get away with it on his own show. So fair play to Chris for that.
Okay.
He's put question marks against the Ben name because, as they say, like father, like son. So if he's capable of cheating, did his father cheat?
I've shown more integrity and resilience.
That's the question that now arises.
You have done your whole career.
That's now the question that arises.
Then you have done your whole career. You're
Like father,
choosing
like
to
son.
fight a welterweight.
I don't
That's
believe.
you.
I
That's
don't
you.
believe his father didn't know what he was doing. I just don't believe.
As I
it.
say, cleared 3
So
times
that
by
means
people who
that
are a lot smarter
Nigel
than you.
Benn could have been capable of doing the same thing in his career. That's
You don't know that.
no, I don't.
You're
but
just
that's the
talking you're just
questions now.
talking
That's the
rubbish.
questions that have now arisen
You're talking rubbish.
because of
You know
what he
what?
did.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. To then deflect and say, first of all, saying his dad might know that he took drugs. Potentially, his dad may have been involved. I don't think he was, by the way. I don't think Nigel Benn would have been involved in any kind of supplements or nutrition. It would have been his team and himself, if indeed he did knowingly take clomiphene. So I don't like that from Chris Eubank. Not really a valid point. And then again, he then went on. I think he's just trying to poke the bear there and get something going and stir the pot of shit up and get it festering, because by saying maybe your dad was capable of cheating and maybe your dad cheated in his career, we've never heard that. We've never had any insinuations of that, not to my knowledge anyway. And to say that Nigel Benn potentially maybe was a drugs cheat, I don't like that. But I can see again what Chris Eubank Jr. is doing. He's just trying to stir up the shit and create more hype for this whole argument before sells the pay-per-view, doesn't it? Gets the old Bunsen burner flowing.
Chris, you said ahead of the first scheduled fight that if you lost to Conor, you would retire. Do you feel the same way now?
Yes.
So you will retire if you lose?
Yes.
I think at 30, he'll be 36 in September, and at this stage of his career, he's not been active either. I'm not going to say he's been battered 3 times, he's not, because he was in the fight with Billy Joe. He could have gone either way that fight. He did get beat and took some punishment against George Groves, but he got battered by Liam Smith. All right, he got beat on his feet, got stopped on his feet, but it was all over the place. He took a bit of a shrallicking. But because he's not been that active throughout his career, okay, there's less miles on the clock, but you need to be busy to keep the momentum going and keep the experience going and the timing and the desire. So we know that Chris Eubank Jr. is all about the money. That's all he wants, the bottom line, the money. How much is he getting paid? And he's getting paid very handsomely for this one. might I add, which is great because fighters deserve the money. But I don't. Even if it wasn't Conor Benn, at 30, approaching 36 years old, he's ready for retirement anyway at this stage of his career. So a loss now to anybody would be retirement. But if he loses against Conor Benn in a close one, is he going to retire? I don't think so. I think he'll fight him again. Get the second one, maybe get the third one. Get the old bunts in. Why not? Everybody's buying it. If the fight's close, we're going to have a number 2, aren't we? Let's be honest.
You know,
Really?
there is a point in every fighter's life that they will reach when they can't go any further. If I can't beat Conor Benn now, then I've reached my ceiling. Which is why this fight is so deathly important to me. Because I don't want to retire. I don't want to give up. I don't want to sail off into the sunset. I still have things to achieve.
Conor, what do you feel? You're younger, so
Yeah, listen, I'm 28. He's done what he's had to do in his career. He's finished.
you wouldn't quit if you lost this fight.
No, of course not. Not that I plan on losing the fight. Not that I think I will lose the fight. The reality is, you can lose fights. I will lose fights in my career. Not to this man.
But what would it mean to lose to him?
Oh, it'd be painful.
What would it mean as
This is my one.
Ben to lose to a Eubank? Because for viewers who don't remember, you know, your dad fought his dad twice. The first fight, Chris Eubank Sr. won, and the second one was deemed a draw. Many felt your father won that second fight, but it was a draw. So as the scorecard stands, a Ben has never beaten a Eubank in the ring.
And they never will.
And they never will. As the scorecards stand, I mean, the first fight was a win for Eubank Sr. Second fight was a draw. I think it's going to be detrimental to Chris Eubank Jr. if he loses, not just for the family name, but just because of the stage of his career. If Conor Benn loses the fight, he can come again. He's coming up from welterweight. He's coming up from 147 pounds, fighting Chris Eubank Jr., who's naturally the bigger man, up at 160, who's competed at super middleweight 168. He beat James DeGale. He's beaten Arthur Abraham, a guy who I've boxed. And there's 2 not bad wins, and they're at super middleweight. So Eubank Jr., if he loses to Conor Benn at this stage of his career, other than a rematch with Conor Benn, he's probably got nowhere to go. But Conor Benn himself, at 28 years old, losing after stepping up 2 weight divisions, he can definitely come again. As long as he doesn't get badly ironed out and hurt and damages his confidence, Conor Benn can definitely go on and have a future in professional boxing. Drop back down to 147 and look at maybe fighting for a world title after another year or 2 or 3 more fights, then tap on the door for a world title. He's definitely got an exciting future. Conor Benn, 100%. He won't be retiring.
I've had 37 fights in my career, so my hunger cannot be questioned. You know, yes, in the early stages of my career or my life, I lived in the mansion, we had the nice cars, I went to private school, so I experienced that life. Then, as so many fighters unfortunately do, my father lost everything. He went bankrupt and, you know, our lives changed. I was introduced to, you know, the working class lifestyle.
How old were you then?
I don't know, maybe 14, 15.
Which is a very difficult age to suddenly see such a dramatic change in lifestyle.
For sure. You know, I went from living in a mansion to living above a nursery, you know, in a studio. So for me, you know, even though it was a horrible time in my life, my parents got divorced, I actually am grateful that this happened.
All I'd say here is fair play to Chris Eubank Jr. for opening up. He didn't need to talk about all this, and it must cut a little bit deep. It's like a Rocky story, isn't it? Was it Rocky Balboa, Rocky 5, where he lost all his fortune? Because Paulie spunked it all, and he signed the power of attorney over it anyway. Lost all his money. It's similar to that. But most boxers go from rags to riches. This is a different one. I mean, he's born into money, and then he's lost everything. So showing a bit of resilience there, and then getting into boxing late, I don't think's helped him because he never boxed as a kid. Same with Conor Benn. And my son had boxed as a young lad, but most world champion fathers don't really want their sons going into boxing because they know how hard it is. They know what a tough time they had at. That's what I think anyway. It's a tough sport, boxing, but I absolutely loved it and I wouldn't change a thing. But yeah, fair play to Chris Eubank for opening up.
Because it took me out of that comfort zone and it forced me to figure out how to get back there. I want to get back to the nice car and the nice house and eating whenever I want to eat and not having to go down to Tesco's and spend a certain amount of money. I can only spend a certain amount each week on food. I want to get out of this position I'm in. How do I get back to where I was? Okay, I've got to get my ass in that gym and graft and work and suffer and win. And that's what I did.
So he's a Tesco man. Thought it'd have been more of a Marks and Spencer, maybe a Waitrose type of guy. But no, basically pointing out there that he had everything and then he got nothing, he lost it all. And now he's come through some adversity. To come through adversity in your life makes you stronger, builds resilience, and that helps when you're inside that boxing ring. So, yeah, fair point. And like I say, fair play for Chris Eubank there for opening up. Conor Benn looked like he was going to fucking fall asleep, but there you go. You don't want to listen to the sob story, does he?
Your dad intervened with the egg throwing and put his arm, I think, on your throat. And at the second press conference, you basically threatened Nigel Benn. Said if he did that again, you deal with him. And
it wasn't a threat, it was a promise.
Oh, it's not a promise, is it?
You can't touch
scumbag.
You can't
Well, we
touch
did. Well,
you can throw an egg in his face and his father can't.
No,
me and him are fighting.
You're just upset.
Me and you are fighting.
Your dad can't stand you. And
I'm
my
not
dad has
upset.
my back. You are. That's all that
I'm not
was.
upset.
My dad put
Me
his
and you are
hands around
fighting.
you again.
Whatever
What are you
happens
gonna do
between
about it?
us
My dad would put his arms around you again. What are you going to do about it?
Always digging out Chris Eubank Jr. there about his dad can't stand him and his dad hates him. That must hurt a little bit, but Chris Eubank Jr. there keeps his cool and keeps smiling.
No one
What are you
else.
gonna do about it? Tell me.
No one else can touch me.
Tell
And
me.
if they do, there'll be
Tell me.
consequences.
Consequences to what?
If
What's
anyone
to
else,
slap you right now?
if anyone else touches me,
What if I was to slap you right now? What are you going to do about it?
That pain didn't work, did it?
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, talk about my dad.
I'm not talking
Talk
about your
my
dad.
No.
But I told him.
But
I
you
told
should
him.
get off me, please.
Get off me, please, to the security guard. The security guard don't listen. I kind of like this because it's all builds the fight, and obviously they're both out the seats, but nothing's going to happen, is it? It's all handbags at dawn.
My old man would never touch you, so your old man's never going to touch me.
I would never slap you.
You would never slap me.
Yeah, no, I would
You
slap
put your hands on me twice since my last fight.
When?
You pushed me.
Oh, push, a little push.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You put your hands on me.
Little push and stuff.
Little pull on a push, Cobra style.
You put your hands on me.
Stop moaning about it. A little push and shove. Stop moaning about it. Talk about my dad.
You put your hands on me, I put my hands on you.
I'll
Now
never
we're even.
disrespect your dad.
Yes, you would. You disrespected him before.
What, the fact that he don't like you? It's a matter of fact.
Okay, well,
it's
it's
a
disrespect.
matter of fact. How's that disrespect?
You can't give it and not take it.
You fucked up by talking about my dad. You done fucked up talking about my dad.
Me, and you fucked up by taking this fight.
Yeah.
That's right.
What the fuck you looking at?
The fuck are you looking at? I mean, I don't think that was it went straight to Piers Morgan's face at the end of that, and he looked like he just shit one. But when Conor said, what the fuck are you looking at? I think he was looking at Chris Eubank Jr. there, because he was staring at him. That was just all a bit of, I don't know what that was. That was, like I said, a bit of pull and a push. It wasn't even a pull and a push, was it? Security guards got involved. He's talking about his dad, like, this builds the fight, but nothing much really was said there. But it was quite entertaining viewing. It was good on the optics. That's about it, really.
That's what I've done. You know, so for me, it was a matter of, I've done everything I can.
Well, that's an interesting point. I mean, Chris, what more could he have done? I mean, be honest with me. What more could he have done than what he did?
What more?
To
sate
your desire to disprove the fact he cheated. What more could he possibly have done?
What more he could have possibly done is he could have not failed those drugs tests.
He's a prick, isn't he? But a funny prick.
It's as simple as that. If you fail, you're a cheat for the rest of your life.
But that's not always true, is it?
It's true.
There are a number of sportsmen, male and female, who every year fail drugs tests, but it turns out after they're investigated, it is not proven they did so deliberately, whatever the substance may be, and they're allowed to continue performing. So it's not true that everyone who fails tests is automatically a cheat.
In my eyes, if you fail, In my eyes, if someone was to have pinned him down and jabbed the syringe into the side of his ass and squeezed it in, if that had happened and I saw it, guess what? He's still a cheat. He shouldn't have let it happen. It's his responsibility to protect himself at all times. He didn't do that. He's a cheat. End of story.
I'll give you one last chance.
Don't ask me again, Piers.
Just shake his hand.
Don't ask me again.
So he's never going to get a handshake out of him, is he? There's too much beef, and if he gets near him, Conor might give him a little slap or something, or tell him, no, I'm not shaking your hand. I think he said before, I shake his hand after the fight, I think, when he's dealt with him. And that's what's good about boxing. It's what boxing's all about, the discipline and the respect. Hopefully when these two have punched each other in the face, they can have a bit more respect for each other and shake hands at the end of it. That's what it's all about.
I tried. Thank you both for your time. And may the best man win.
He will. He will.
It's going to be one hell of a fight. That I do know. Thank you very much.
And that's it. Chris Eubank Jr., he went there. He said what he wanted to say. He told Piers Morgan to shut up. He called Conor Benn a drugs cheat on numerous occasions and got his point across. And I feel like he probably won the argument. If there's a winner and a loser there, I think Eubank Jr. came out of that looking better. But I think he's always going to. Conor Benn fails the drug test. Everybody keeps banging on about it. It's getting boring now, let's be honest. It's been a couple of years since this happened, but now here we are. We've got the big fight. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a good one. When these two get in the ring, you know Conor Benn's going to run over to the other side of the corner and run at him like his dad used to do against Eubank Sr. and just try and finish him off. Hopefully he won't be too wound up doing that, because if he does do that, his game plan could go out the window. He could end up walking into shots, because Chris Eubank Jr. is quite tricky and he's quite elusive. Like his dad's got that style where he sits back, looks for the counter. So hopefully Conor Benn's not too wound up. By the time this fight comes around, he can just take his time and work to a game plan. But the build-up's going to be fantastic. It's already been brilliant. An egg slapped around Conor Benn's face. As out of order as it was fucking funny. And he failed drugs for clomiphene, and he blamed it on high consumption of eggs. So, listen, we've got what we've got. We are where we are. This fight is big for the fact that this whole build-up has been as it is. And you can imagine the rest of the build-up's going to be even better. So, it's good. Piers Morgan having him on the show, that all helps to the build-up. But yeah, and I think that's 3-0 to Chris Eubank Jr. So while we're talking about Chris Eubank Jr. winning, he's trying to win even more. He's trying to win £1 million off Eddie Hills, the 6-0 Iceman, 4 by way of. But anyway, Eddie Hearn has had it stuck on him by Chris Eubank Jr. He said, I'll take the £1 million bet. He's referring to the fact that Eddie Hearn said to Ben Shalom last week, or whenever it was, if you've seen it, I'll bet you £1 million. I'll have £1 million of you that Conor Benn beats Chris Eubank Jr. I don't know if the promoters can fight, because if they can bet on the fight because they're licensed promoters. I don't even know if the fighters can bet, but whatever the rules are, he stuck it on Ben Shalom. Now, Chris Eubank Jr. is sticking it on Eddie Hearn for the £1 million. Me personally, unless he's betting with daddy's money, I don't think he's going to gamble his own money. Not £1 million. He's not going to trust £1 million on Conor Benn beating Chris Eubank Jr. I don't think he's that confident. But it's funny that Eubank Jr. has called him out on it and put it on him and said, let's have £1 million. But we'll just wait and see what happens. It's all interesting. It's all exciting. And we'll just look forward to the fight. And then hopefully everybody can get along at the end of it. So that's it for another episode of Frotch on Fighting. A little bit different for you today. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of it. Doing a bit of a response to the Piers Morgan uncensored little face-off with Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. I quite enjoyed it, but let me know. If you thought I was crap, just be honest. If you enjoyed it, let me know. There's going to be there's going to be a big guest coming on next week, hopefully. And if I'm honest, I don't want to promise anything, but if you don't come on, there's not really going to be a great deal I can do about it, because I won't be beating him up, no fucking chance. The Count, Michael Bisping, cannot wait to talk to him. What a guy, what a legend. I'm going to watch a couple more of his fights on the build-up to the interview. But yeah, until then, this has been Frotch on Fighting. We'll see you very soon.